Hello, welcome to Learn, Do, Become Radio. I'm April Perry. Today's podcast is a little bit different, but I'm talking about what I do when I'm sick. And so if you are currently sick, or you want to prepare for a future time when you may be sick, or you just want to encourage someone else who is sick right now and you want some ideas, I'm here to help. And the reason I was hesitant to share this podcast is because I don't know, I just felt like, people don't want to listen to a podcast about being sick. But then I thought, you know what? When I was sick, I was looking for podcasts about what to do when I was sick, and I couldn't find anything. So here I am, because the chances that you're going to need this at some point in your life are pretty high. So anyway, I hope that today's podcast will give you a lift. And I, first of all, just send a huge hug if you are currently sick right now. I know how hard that is, and I just want you to know that it's rough, but there are some ways to make this time into a really transformative, special, beautiful time. As I was brainstorming, I even thought of calling it a chrysalis, like it's this time where you're just kind of tight in your own space and you can prepare to come out like a butterfly, right? Okay, do I sound ridiculous? I hope that this encourages you. Okay, if you're new to Learn, Do, Become, we help people to create simple systems so they can do what matters most. And I know it seems crazy to have a system for when you're sick. And today it's this very flexible, nourishing, replenishing system. But you know what? I think it's really important. So I actually put together 8 ideas, and I'm excited to share them with you. But I want to just share a little bit about why this matters so much to me, and then we can move forward. So first of all, right now I'm extremely healthy. I've been healthy for a couple months now, and healthier over the years, but I'll just share a little bit about my background. So I had quite a bit of sickness back in 2007, 2008, 2009, kind of all those years. I just had a lot of health problems and a lot of time in pain and a lot of time where I was just really like bedridden. And I had several surgeries and I'm recovered from that issue now, but it was a really hard time. So I spent a lot of time just laying down and not feeling good. And then in August of 2020, I got really sick and I started having digestion issues and I was in bed. It was like months that I was in bed, and it'd be several weeks at a time. And I didn't even really want to talk about it because I felt so bad about myself for being sick. And the doctors couldn't figure anything out. And I went through test after test after test and all these medicines and all these things. And I was just so sick. And it was on and off for years. Anyway, I discovered a few things. Some as I've discovered how to adjust my diet so that what I eat is really great. I don't get sick anymore from food. So that's amazing. And then I also learned about my stress that and this is, I still haven't, can't quite articulate all of this yet, but I've been rewiring my brain. I've been going through a lot of like cognitive behavioral therapy, learning how to rewire, how to think differently, like really legitimately reprogramming my brain. And it has had a massive impact on me. But I have been a person who's carried a lot of stress for a lot of other people over the years. And I think for anyone who's maybe like me, where you're more of a sensitive individual and maybe more of a people pleaser, you understand how that feels. So anyway, because of my history with those surgeries and all those years of pain, and then the past few years where I really had to work hard to learn how to take care of myself, I've spent a lot of days in bed. And the problem is that when you are responsible and highly motivated and creative, or you care about a lot of things, it's really hard to be sick because you just kind of come to a stop. You can't do anything. So today I'm just going to share these 8 things. And I actually wrote this while I was sick in bed, because there's one day I was laying there and I thought, you know what? I'm sure someone else someday is going to wonder what to do when they're sick, and I'm just going to share what I've learned. So I wrote all of this from my sick bed. So I thought it's better to write it while I'm sick, so my perspective is good, than write it while I'm healthy when I might forget how it felt. Okay, is that enough of an introduction? Let's move on. Let's just jump in. Number 1. Okay, this is probably, I think, one of my best suggestions is to clear your plate as soon as you get sick. The mistake that I've made in the past is I would get sick, but I would think, oh, I'm sure I'll get better soon. And so I would keep all of these projects and calendared events and obligations on my calendar and scheduled and on my plate. And I think it just made it worse. It would take me longer to heal, or I would keep saying yes to things. I would show up to things sick, and it just would make it drag on. So now if I get sick, or if you're sick right now, like, clear your plate. And literally it's worth going and sitting at your desk for a minute, looking at your projects, moving everything to the future, renegotiating with yourself and with others and saying, hey, I'm going to have to postpone this. I'm sick right now. Like, tell everybody, simplify your routines, cancel things. Just say, hey, I need to protect my health right now and heal so I can have energy again. And I'm just going to have to cancel. I just have learned it's not worth it to drag for months and months. Like, it's not worth it. So clear your plate as much as possible. If you have to keep something, like we had a family vacation planned, and I didn't want to cancel it because we were going to lose everything. Like, we didn't have insurance on the event. And anyway, so I went sick and it was terrible. But I mean, it was fun to be there, but you know what I mean? Didn't feel good. So clear what you can. Okay. All right. Number 2. Have some fun downtime activities ready for when you're sick. So I don't watch a ton of movies when I'm healthy because I just like being outside, or I like to be reading books or with my family or doing projects. But I have a little list of movies and audiobooks that I just save. So if I'm sick, then I can just lay down and watch movies or catch up on, some series that I like. And so I actually made it kind of fun because then, even though I'm feeling terrible, like I had the stomach flu a few months ago, so I was so sick and wasn't leaving my room and no one was coming to visit me, but I just watched all these TV shows that I was looking forward to. And so, it at least gave me something fun. So if you have a little sick list ready, then when you need it, it's at least a little perk, okay? And I really feel like having that calm mind while you're just relaxing and watching a show or something, I don't know, I feel like that helped me recover. And inspiring movies are like my favorites. There are so many great documentaries or like faith promoting movies or things about the goodness of humanity. So I try to watch things like that, and that makes it a little bit, a little easier to be sick. Okay, number 3, ponder questions that will impact you when you are out of the sickness. So here are a few questions that I would sit and think about. What is most important to me in my life? Where do I make the highest contribution? Where do people in my life really need love? How can I be more mentally healthy? What am I afraid of? Why do I hold back in some areas? What have I not started that I need to start? And I have all of these questions and all of the stuff on the show notes page. That's learntobecome.com/episode 202. So if you want to read this, it's all there. But what I found is that there's a lot of time when you're sick, especially sometimes middle of the night or something, or if you're like writhing in pain, or if you are just, waiting for medicine to kick in or whatever it is. I just found that if I have some questions to really just think about and assess my life, and really, I think, what can I look forward to when I'm feeling better? And I like to think of that because I don't want to think, well, what if I never get better? Because that question doesn't help me, especially when I spend like months and months and months in bed. Because part of me was like, if I never get better, I couldn't even go there. It wasn't good. So instead, I started thinking, like, I'm not ready for my life to be finished right now. What do I want to do? What do I want to create? Who do I want to have experiences with? What friendships do I want to nurture? Like, what contribution do I want to make in this world before my time is over? And that was something that really helped me because I could lay in bed and think, and it really put things into priority. Because as I was laying there, I thought, I don't care if I lose 20 or 30 pounds and I, fit into this really tiny pair of pants or something. Like, that literally meant nothing to me when I'm laying in bed. But the things that did matter were experiences with our family, some of the places we wanted to go, the service projects we want to do, things I want to write, things I want to contribute to learn to become. I had all of these big dreams inside my heart, and it just put things in perspective. Because when you're sick, you just realize what matters and what doesn't. And it's actually like this beautiful experience, I think. All right, number 4. Learn skills that will serve you when you're healthy. Now, clearly, if you got the stomach flu and you can barely move, you're not like, let me learn some new skills. But there are times where maybe you're just tired, but you're not asleep. And so you can read books regarding your profession, or there's all kinds of video tutorials online, learning different hobbies, or what are some things that would address my biggest pain points. I kept a little notebook nearby, and I would sketch ideas as they came to me. You can watch video tutorials on cooking or drawing or decorating or healthy eating. And even if you can't do them right now, you can just expose your mind to new things and see what feels exciting. And then you can cheer the people on who are healthy and celebrate the life that they have to live, that they're living right now, and say, oh, thank you for this wonderful tutorial or whatever. And so I just found it was a really good time for me to just learn some new skills or new ideas and to just visualize, oh, I wonder what life will be like again when I feel good. All right, number 5, express love. This is one of those things that you can do even when you're just laying sick. To family, to friends, to social media contacts, through texts or messages. Because what would happen, I'll just say one of my lowest points, is when I would be in bed for like day 4, or whatever, day 5, I'm just laying here in bed and feeling kind of down and feeling like the whole world's passing me by and I'm just laying there. And then I would be looking on social media and see everyone on their, trips and everyone doing amazing things. And I'd be like, well, that would be great. I wish I was on a trip. I wish I was, doing something. And I think that's maybe one of the challenges of social media is, right? You're seeing everyone's highlight reel and you think the whole world is out having a great time. The whole world's not out having a great time all at the same time. But I still could cheer them on. And so what I found is if I sat there and felt sorry for myself, I would just feel worse. So instead, I would express love to them. Like I would comment and say, oh, that looks beautiful. I hope you have a wonderful time. And I would be genuine about it. Or I would text friends I hadn't talked to in a long time and say, I was just thinking about you and just want to appreciate you for being such a positive force in my life. Or I would just, as my family would be there in the house, I would just tell them how much I love them and express to them just feelings from my heart. And anyway, I just think that the ability to express love, you can do that no matter where you are. That was, a lot of you know, I lost my mom to Alzheimer's in 2017, but it was a 7-year process. So from 2010 to 2017, it was a slow decline where she would forget and couldn't speak and then couldn't move and then she passed away. So it was just a slow goodbye. And she was like my best friend. But what I loved is when we would go and visit her and she was in her bed, even when she couldn't speak, she would smile and she would look at us with these beautiful eyes. And I'd get up close to her and I'd say, Mom, I love you so much. And she would touch my cheeks with her hands and she'd like caress my cheeks. And she would just look at me like I was her angel. Like she was in awe of me. Like she just looked at me with such love. And this is someone who was dying, who couldn't even talk. I mean, that's what I saw. And so sometimes when people are either chronically ill or they are terminally ill, sometimes they might feel like they don't have anything to contribute or they don't matter. But I will just tell you, saying goodbye to my mom and watching her in her hospital bed for years, how much she expressed love was amazing. And that was life-changing to me, to my siblings, to our friends who'd come visit, to her grandchildren. I mean, you can do a lot just even from a hospital bed. So I want to emphasize that because I know there are some people here listening right now who, you may not get better. There's going to come a time in my life when I won't get better. It's going to come to an end. But when you know that You don't have to check off a bunch of tasks and do a bunch of projects to be valuable, but that you can leave your legacy of love. I just think that's empowering, and it brings a lot of hope. Okay, number 6, I recommend drawing closer to your higher power. Now, we're all going to define that differently, but I'll just share from my experience. I don't know if I've shared this story before, and this, again, is very personal, so I'm not trying to, push religious beliefs on you, but I was laying in bed one time. This was back right after my surgeries, and other people were taking care of our children because literally I couldn't. I had to recover, and I was in so much pain, like writhing pain. I couldn't watch TV. I couldn't read books. I couldn't listen to podcasts. I was in bed writhing in pain, and it was so bad. And I called my mom one day. This was prior to the Alzheimer's, and I said, "Mom, what do you do when you're so sick you can't even think? Like, it's so bad." And she said, "I just praise God." She said, "I just make my pain my offering to God. And I just praise God, and I just say thank you for all that I have." I mean, that's just the woman that raised me that I love so much. And so I did. I would lay in bed and I would just praise God. And what happened is that as I would go through those really hard experiences, I would feel this closeness to God. I would feel this love. I would feel like even though I was suffering, I wasn't being left alone. And it turned what was really hard into just a transformative, sacred experience. So I'm really grateful my mom taught me that, because it meant a lot to me. Okay, I didn't bring Kleenex here. I do. Anyway, I wasn't planning on getting all emotional on this. Okay. Number 7, move forward on some goal that is exciting to you as you are able. I know, again, this is weird, but the thing is, when you're sick, you're not always like writhing in pain the entire time. And I hope you aren't. For me, it would be like I'd be super sick sometimes, and then I would have times where I was just exhausted, or I was just like had to lay there. But I had some mental energy. And I think that's where people start to go crazy, is where your mind is active and you have the ability to think, but your body just won't move and you don't have physical energy. So what do you do with that? So that's where I would like I outlined this podcast, or I worked on classes I wanted to teach. Back in, it was like 2008, I think, or 2009, when I had these surgeries, and I was starting my STEP program. I was starting to like teach people STEP. And I love David Allen's book, Getting Things Done, and I wanted to really adapt it and teach it to, mothers and fathers and families and people who, needed the support in my sphere. So I actually, as I'm laying in bed one day, I got on the phone and I called information, and I found the number to David Allen's office in Ojai, California. And I called and said, "Hi, I'm April, and I would love to teach Getting Things Done to the people in my sphere. And is that okay?" And so they said, "Oh, yes, as long as you put his registered trademark, and, he doesn't have like Next Actions trademarked and things like that, because he learned them from other people. And so the general concepts you can teach, but, just make sure that you respect his trademark and that type of thing." And I said, "Okay." And so I got moving. And so literally it was these little phone calls and ideas that I was able to put into place while I was sick. Anyway, so that was great. One time I made a new sticker chart. I've outlined all kinds of articles and ideas. I've got this someday list of all these things I want to do. So I'm often on my phone in Evernote, just typing away, putting things like that together. So I think there are a lot of ways you can move forward if you know how to, break down next actions and just keeping a record of things. And yeah, every idea I had while I was sick, I haven't done, but a lot of them I have. So hopefully that's helpful. Okay, and then the last one, number 8, develop compassion. Become the person that you appreciated when you were sick. And so this is something I'm still working on. But one of the things that was helpful to me is as I was laying there, I thought, once I feel better, I don't want to forget how hard it is to be sick. So when I come across someone in my neighborhood or a friend or family or someone that I know of that's sick, and if I have bandwidth, I want to be able to do XYZ for them. And I would think about the people who served me when I was sick and think, how can I alleviate suffering in other people in the future? So anyway, that's just a thought or an idea. So I hope that these 8 thoughts were helpful. Again, you can go to learndobecome.com/episode 202 if you would like to read it. If you have had a lot of sickness, I think that it can be a beautiful, refining chrysalis, and I'm just sending a lot of love. I don't know why it is that some of us have more pain than others, or some people go through more than others. I don't know all the reasons why. But I will say that when we can look at whatever experience we're going through and be able to ask, how can I use this experience to transform something in my life? How can I become more compassionate, more kind? How can I use my energy for good once I'm feeling better? What changes am I going to make in my life because I went through this? What am I going to learn, right? All these questions, it goes back to that podcast I did a while ago about achiever versus becomer, that you don't have to achieve to have value. And sometimes when you're sick, you feel like, well, I'm not contributing anything. I'm not doing anything. I don't have any value. You do. You do have value just in you being. And so I think if we can just maybe look at all parts of our lives as beautiful, and I know it doesn't feel like it. Like it didn't feel good to be in bed for so long, and it was it's really hard. But in retrospect, I can see the beauty that actually was there, and I hope that you can as well. And if you have more ideas, maybe you've discovered something I haven't, please come to the show notes page and share it. Because I think that as we come together as a community, we can really help each other. Okay, I'm sending lots of love. I'm just going to close it here. Okay, see you soon at learndobecome.com.